Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Find Out podcast. I had to do a little pause there because somebody was typing.
I don't know who that was.
There is so much news to cover, crazy news, but we have to start with maybe the most disturbing event of foreign policy that we've seen in decades. And it is the fact that it looks like the United Nations turned off the escalator right before Donald Trump got on it. And the White House and conservative MAGA lost their absolute minds yesterday over it. Do you think we can recover from such a slight, which, by the way, it wasn't the UN. It turned out it was one of his idiot advance people who tripped the stop button, which is important, but didn't stop Caroline Leavitt and all of the MAGA influencer world basically screaming like they just started World War III.
It was clearly a conspiracy.
I don't know why anyone's treating this like a joke. Asking Donald Trump to walk up those stairs, that's an assassination attempt. They were trying, someone on his team was trying to bring the end to his presidency.
I know he's in charges right now.
There's a covert op, huh? Okay.
I think it's exactly the opposite. I think RFK keeps yelling at him about eating all the Big Macs. I think RFK was under the escalator and he flipped the switch to force Trump to walk up the stairs, and next he's going to have to swim in the Potomac. So it's going to be
Hunter
really
Biden,
nice.
Actually,
he's out there with his laptop.
The laptop fell onto the button,
clacking underneath the escalator.
Yeah. Well, we have to joke because everything else is not great, and it's like his speech yesterday was just bonkers crazy.
Teleprompter. This is what they said.
Yeah.
The teleprompter was broken and the escalator came to a sudden halt as we were riding up to the podium. Both of these events probably made the speech more interesting than it would have other been. This is what Trump said. Than it would have been otherwise. So he's spinning it positively. So good for him. Really thinking on his feet.
He yap a lot about how Joe Biden needed a teleprompter, and he didn't need a teleprompter. So why couldn't he not speak coherently? I mean, he can never speak coherently, but why?
You almost said Trump-a-prompter.
Trump-a-prompter. Wow. Well,
which also was broken because of his team, by the way.
Really?
Yep. They fucked it up somehow.
I believe that.
I mean, I don't
even need any more information. I already believe that more than I believe any other.
Well, but he only hires the best people, guys. So I don't understand how you could suggest
most qualified.
Stephen Miller with a thumb drive underneath the teleprompter, trying to plug it into the USB port. He's got it upside down, and he's trying it 17 times. And he's like, "Fucking Antifa."
Did you guys see? We didn't talk about this, but did you guys see that the Kristi Noem's number 2 at DHS is a 28-year-old?
Yeah.
And someone asked her if she really felt she was qualified to be the number 2 at a 60, 70, 80,000 person agency. And her answer was essentially, well, who's qualified for anything anyways? And it's like lots of people. Lots of people.
This kind of question only somebody who doesn't understand how anything works could say. You're like, I could do that job. Like you sit at a computer and you clack, right? I'm like, oh man,
oh, it's bad. Well, we got a 23-year-old ahead of anti-terrorism, I believe. So, we're in a good spot. Well, let's the biggest story right now, and we're recording this on Wednesdays, is the fact that Jimmy Kimmel came back last night, looked like no restrictions, and I thought gave a pretty good opening. He did say I'm sorry if my words were misconstrued or you thought I was suggesting stuff. But the stuff on Trump was dead on, which was basically he was fine with hundreds of Americans losing their jobs because Donald Trump can't take a joke. And I think both the escalator and the Kimmel thing is we just come back to the same point that MAGA are the biggest snowflakes on earth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. They just are.
Yep. They'll go with them on anything too. They were the biggest free speech people forever. And then the second Trump is like, no, wait, let's just 180 this shit. They're like, yeah, 180 that shit. It's fine. It's it's just so painful. And the most painful part is they don't see it. They just don't see the hypocrisy in it. I always mention this one MAGA friend of mine. It's always the fucking same with him. It's always the goalpost just moved this much, and that much. It's just fucking pick a side,
Has Elon Musk come out and said we need to legalize comedy?
That was a good impression.
That was good.
That was
a really good impression.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
You sounded better than him, but it was that's what he aspires to sound like.
Flowing through.
Right.
Totally. Just I saw a headline, the New Yorker magazine, I believe, or the New York Times magazine. Has anyone heard about Elon Musk's father?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Shocker! It's always the ones you most suspect.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't hear about this.
Tell the audience what happened.
So there are many family members, children, who have reported to other family members and to doctors that Elon Musk's father, the man in South Africa, is a child molester.
Oh, wonderful.
And that he's been molesting his children and his
grandchildren,
his
stepchildren.
Yeah. So that is an issue that apparently Elon Musk has been involved in. It is unclear from what I read if he's like paying for legal fees or what his involvement is. But apparently, I believe it's New York Times Magazine got a hold of like family letters and all sorts of information that establishes that this has been a known problem in the family for like decades. Yeah. Wow. And, I think that there's no allegations about Elon Musk being a victim that I have read, at least. But I think that it creates a realm of possibility that might explain why he is the way he is. That's
100% in line with what I read too. And I think, to be very clear, it appears that he is trying to help the victims, and I think he very much does not like what's his name, Errol Musk, I believe is his name. He doesn't like his dad, and he's trying to, I think, support the family, but also sever ties with his dad, but he can't because it's all this legal stuff. So it's unfortunate. I think the thing that is relevant for me anyway is, why is it that like it's like trauma inflicts trauma and trauma never stops self-replicating. Yep. This guy is, if he's trying to help his family, he's not helping America. He's paying forward maybe a little bit of all of it, because we're catching a lot of misery from people who I think have been suffering from misery. And I think Trump is really no different when you look at how he treats his kids, and how his, all of the rumors about his dad and the relationship with his dad and his mom and how he treats his wives. These are not the people that we want in charge of everything. Yeah. Especially when they're not disclosing, they're not being, emotionally honest about where they came from and how it informed their upbringing. We just have to find out later because some shit gets leaked out to the press. And then we realize, maybe we should unpack a little bit of this together before we all start.
Hey, well, at the Pentagon, they can't release anything that's not pre-approved.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that makes so much sense.
All this stems to like repression for me. Like, that's to like anybody with dads like that are abusive in any way, shape, or form. Always, especially men, feel sort of forced to repress that shit down, and that really spiders out into why a lot of Republican men care so much about identifying with the Republican Party, because they're doing the same shit. Like, they relate to Trump and Musk because they're suffering through it just like they are. And they're like, look at these guys. They're tough, just like me. I don't have to deal with this. It's like, can you go to a therapist? That'd be cool.
Just try therapy. I promise you it's not that bad.
I don't know if you guys have heard this yet, but Mudvayne came out with a song called Hurt People, Hurt People. And it's you should, if you aren't familiar with it, I recommend just going in blind, watch it on YouTube, listen to it on YouTube. The song is very, very clear about the message that it's trying to communicate, and it says it all in the title. And
yet Republicans, I think, would read that as hurt people. Hurt people. And Democrats, right, exactly. No, it's just a really important command, so we're going to say it twice. Exactly. Whereas Democrats are like, I need to talk to my therapist about this song. It's really fascinating, and that's why we are different.
It is interesting, though, to go into the masculinity stuff, right? Because Elon obviously was like, I'm sure his childhood was not great. It was wealthy, but it wasn't great. And now he, like Rich, you mentioned, like he said his son was dead because they became they are trans.
Right.
Like he is perpetrating, and it's right. It's like my mom always used to tell me, she was a teacher. She was like, I could just by looking at my class and the family, you can kind of predict the future without it even happening. And these cycles sadly continue. And we're not going to solve these problems in this country until we really start addressing that stuff. And part of it is what you said, Zach, which is making it so that there is no stigma around therapy or asking for help or talking to your friends, because in that I think in blue worlds there's problems still, but there's more of that, right? More being open. But in that world, in the MAGA world, the Andrew Tates of the world and all these people are just telling you to just buck up, fucker, and you need to be the big tough alpha. And all it does is make everybody miserable, because the person doing it isn't happy, and then you're just an asshole to everybody else. And so we got to have this conversation.
He's an alpha is a fucking prick.
I also look at it for me personally, I am not at all comfortable with talking about my feelings with anybody, at all. It's a really uncomfortable thing for me, but because I know its value, I do it anyway. That is, to me, a more masculine perspective than just sucking it up and coping. Yeah. It's I don't want to talk about this shit, but it's helpful, so I'll fucking do it.
Their idea of masculinity is taking everything that's ever hurt them, putting it in a bottle, and then dying at 55.
That's a bar right there.
There's a clip of the week.
Clip of the week. No, it's spot on. And I think the thing that's so frustrating for me is my dad is awesome. My grandpas were both awesome. Most of my uncles are awesome. I have plenty of male role. In case any of them are listening, all of my uncles are awesome.
I was going to say.
I think you should leave it where they have to decide.
I'm not ready to get family hate letters to us. But,
I have a lot of uncles, so now they have to try to figure out, are they one of the good ones? But they live in this world where they truly don't believe, because they haven't been exposed to the idea that there's no alternative. And it's like the kid in Texas that I talked to who said, I've never met an adult male Democrat.
Scary.
It's where the fuck do you start with that? Okay, so an adult men can be Democrats. You don't have to be gay to be a Democrat. You can be a straight white Christian male gun owner and be a Democrat. In fact, there used to be a whole lot of those people. It wasn't until the culture wars flipped it, but the whole emotional vulnerability thing, they live in this charade where their dad is miserable and sad and pretending to be strong, and then he pays both of those things forward to his kids so that they feel like they have to keep up this false bravado while also being miserable inside. And they don't know that there's another way to exist, because they don't have a single role model that shows them that there's another way to exist. Yeah. And it's how do you crack that? I mean, Barack Obama's out there. There are a lot of athletes out there who are strong, straight, religious men who are great positive forces for masculinity. But they just think it's all a media lie or a liberal lie. I don't know. I haven't figured out how to crack it. If we could, maybe we could get more listeners. I don't know.
Well, it's a big, it's a big problem. And the reason we haven't solved it is because it's so big, right? And a lot of it, and we talk a lot about this, is culture is how you have to start with culture. You can't start with politics, because it's just it's a dead end.
It's ingrained, and that's how they get them, right?
Right.
The right has pathways in from the back end.
Yeah, there were a not insignificant number of Obama and Trump voters.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people who voted for Obama twice and Trump 3 times. Now, politically, it is completely insane, right? Yeah. It is completely insane. They are diametrically opposed, and their approaches to both domestic and foreign policy, it makes no sense. But if you look at it from a cultural perspective, Obama was coming off this miserable war that no one agreed with, and the economy was in the tank, and then comes out this dynamic, youngish. I think he was in his late 40s when he became president. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My age, basically, which is terrifying. But he was calm, he was confident, and then we went with a psychopath. But I think there was a cultural shift. A lot of racism came up,
sure,
and then that's where a lot of this spun out. But it's not like it's impossible. I mean, James Tallarico is somebody, Rich, he checks a lot of the boxes that you just said, and is in Texas. Graham Plattner in Maine checks a lot of those boxes too. And so it'll be really interesting. Rob's Iowa.
Yep.
Right. Is he the one that's in the wheelchair, disabled?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. There's a couple of really good candidates in Iowa. It's going to be really interesting to see if, like, we always talk about candidate quality, and it seems like Democrats are recruiting. Well, some not so great, but some really good.
We're not the only ones who looked at the 2024 and said maybe this group of people should stand up and do anything, because we all felt it. People were like, "Oh my God, it's so refreshing to hear a bearded white guy be a feminist or be liberal."
Right.
It's like,
let's not focus on the beard thing.
Oh, Luke's not there yet.
Sweet baby-faced white guy. You'll get there. It migrates from your head down to your face. So as soon as you start balding, then that's when you know your beard's going to come in. No, I mean, so now suddenly we've got all of these men coming out of the woodwork going, can I talk again? Because I think like there was a minute there where it felt like just shut up and listen was kind of the message from everybody. And we've listened 100%. And I've learned a lot in the last 10 years, but we also it's a numbers game. We have to win elections. And so just fucking do anything.
I mean, I think there's also the element, like going back to the Obama and Trump voters they voted for Obama and then also for Trump. Mm-hmm. That is going to be a group that swings our way this time around because they're that group I just call pro disruptors. That's what all they give a shit about is
the change agent.
Exactly. Like, cause they look around and they're the only thing that persists with them is they're dissatisfied with what's going on.
They're angry at everybody all of the time.
So whoever's going, well, this shit really sucks and they're not empowered, like that one. And then as long as we have people who are actually becoming anti-establishment and powerful, which we're clearly seeing as a trend, those people will swing back 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're looking at a good next year, but there's obviously a lot of work to do. I feel really good about the Virginia race this year. I don't feel so great about the New Jersey race right now. So we need to be paying attention. The polls aren't great.
Really?
There was a debate the other night that was okay. In New Jersey it's
turning pretty red.
Conservative.
Right. New Jersey's interesting too, like, because I grew up in an area like northern Jersey that was like during the Bush era was very, very red, and then when Trump came around, it turned very blue. So like it's a very strange state where like they looked at Bush and were like, love it, and they looked at Trump and went, no, fuck this guy. Like, the shift was huge. So I don't know what the hell's going on.
So if you're a Democrat in New Jersey, pay attention and make sure you're voting.
Really, just in general, vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, moving on. There's so many ridiculous things to talk about, but let's go to Jeez, this episode is just gonna be a comedy.
I got a hot take to kick off the.
Well, let's do it.
The hot take to kick off the Kimmel conversation.
All right.
I don't know if it's a prove me wrong or a hot take, but I think the hot take is this. And don't kill me, listeners. I see your comments. In support of Jimmy Kimmel, every single Democrat in the United States should resubscribe to Disney, Hulu, and ESPN. And make it vocally clear why they're resubscribe. If you canceled, resubscribe and do it because they reinstated Jimmy Kimmel. That is my take. I'm not surprised Luke disagrees.
I agree. So we'll see how this plays out.
Oh, we're gonna have a split. We're gonna have a split crew today because I do not agree. Luke, the floor is yours.
Wait, we didn't get Chris's take.
Are we all talking first before you talk?
We all have to say what we think.
All right. The hot take reaction.
I'm going to be totally honest that I value the season finale of Alien Earth more than I do the First Amendment. So I did not cancel. So
dude,
I would be a hypocrite to tell anyone to cancel Hulu right now.
I deeply appreciate that response.
I will be honest too. I did not, but I will tell you why. Because I get it through, like I got it through a deal through Spotify. They just like gave it to me as part of the membership. So I actually don't know how to cancel it because I'm not actually paying for it.
It's like, only a coincidence he's the oldest guy on the podcast, you guys. It's only a coincidence.
Don't worry, listeners. One of us has
By
morals.
the way,
I canceled like 6 months ago.
Wait. First of all, no, I'm with you, Luke. I just don't like I'm actually not getting any money from.
This man just wants to watch his Disney.
He emotionally canceled his Hulu subscription, but he didn't technically cancel.
I didn't turn it on. I didn't turn it on. We didn't watch it.
Oh, okay.
All right, Luke, let's hear it.
Yeah, I'll back you up, Luke. Go ahead.
I think they didn't learn their lesson enough. They don't get a reward for doing the right thing. Like, I don't know why we expect that of them. It's my opinion, they can lose a few more $1 billion. I'm going to sail the high seas for everything I have to watch that's Disney or Hulu for the next fucking 4 years, if not forever. I do that for most things at this point, but I'm definitely not thinking that they should get their money back just because they did the right thing to fix the thing they never should have fucking done. I mean, they literally made a show called Andor, which is a Star Wars show, which is like literally about the rise of fascism and how much blood and sweat it takes to fight fascism. And then the second the fascists walk over, they go, oh, okay, see that? I'll do what you want. Fuck that. They don't get a dime of my money. That's
fair. I understand that perspective. But I'll tell you why I'm with Rich on this one, because I think if you look at it and go, all right, if I'm a CEO of a company and I go, I'm going to lose these people anyway, they're not going to come back. That's the problem that they're looking at and going, well, then what's the benefit of me bringing them back? I need to have an upside to my next decision. So if we're making it clear, like, hey, if you behave the right way, we're with you. If you behave the wrong way, we're against you. And our actions are inexplicably tied to those behaviors, then they will understand as a business, like, oh shit, we actually have to move with the tide. And we have a benefit if we do that. But if you take away that benefit, they go, well, fuck it. What do I care? If they're just going to leave me no matter what and I never come back.
I think they should look at it as we lost the chunk that we did. I mean, if they had gone on to like fully cancel Kimmel, they'd have lost fucking way more.
Yeah, really
so
and that's why they didn't, because they didn't want to lose more money.
Right.
But I'm not going to motivate them for doing the right thing. You don't get a pat on the back.
Yeah. So I think I agree. I understand the position, Zach. My take is I want to stop them before they do this stupid shit in the first place.
Well, I think this does. I think them seeing it come back makes them think about it twice in the future.
Next time.
Well, because now what they can do is, Bob Iger is the one that made this decision, the CEO of Disney. He pulled the plug like Trump wanted him to, or what's his face, that bozo at the FCC. And then he lost $4 billion in market cap, brings him back. And so he was able to throw Trump a bone when he wanted it. Briefly. And then he gets to be like, oh, I brought Kimmel back. To me, that's like, because market cap can go straight back up, right?
Sure,
so I'm not sure that Disney has learned their lesson, or another company wouldn't look, because Sinclair is still not allowing which is a incredibly right-wing company that literally owns a lot of ABC and CBS stations.
70,
in fact, they used to have, because I saw this when I was in Maine at my parents' house, the CBS affiliate in Portland is owned by Sinclair, and they would run these 2 to 3 minute, they called them talking point things. It was with must-reads with Boris Epstein, whatever his name is, who is literally
real close to a different name.
Oh yeah, but there's a Y.
Epstein.
There's a Y in his last name, but anyways, and then he ended up. I think he ended up getting indicted. I think he got indicted for something, or was under investigation because he was a Trump lackey. But they pumped that into everybody's house before they watched Wheel of Fortune at 7:00. You had to hear a right wing 2 to 3 minute spiel, which you didn't even realize was a right wing spiel because it just said it was at the top of the hour. Here's this guy, so we haven't actually. I don't think we've solved this problem, and especially with Sinclair, and there was a smaller TV group that's also not showing it. If you just let them back, then Sinclair gets what they want as well.
Their lesson. They didn't learn.
That's my problem. Yeah, I'm also not going to judge anybody who has Hulu, because look, there's not a lot of joy in the world right now. So if you want to watch fucking Alien, whatever, now that it's back, I'm not dying on that hill, but I just don't think that I would prefer that people stay away. And I promise I'll go figure out how to detach my.
Yeah. You should all.
I have a question for you guys, because when I was deep in the research, I was tracking swastika flying neo-Nazis who were outside of Disney, at least once a week for months. Did that make it into the mainstream news at all?
I don't know.
Nope. So I knew there was a fight with Disney and DeSantis, but I didn't know about neo-Nazis.
Yeah, same.
So I think that there's the PR team at Disney is probably has a different perspective on culture war issues than most Americans, because when it's in your face, when they're physically outside, Disney World or Land, whatever's in Florida, I think that has a psychological effect on the employees and even executives, especially because it is so offensive. This part of this was the allegation that Disney was grooming children. into into
Trans
LGBTQ
and
and all that shit, right? So Disney has been fighting for years. I suspect what seems like, based on this poll right here, a very quiet but high stakes fight against both very important and powerful figures like Ron DeSantis, who did lose his Disney fight. I don't know if people know that. But they've also had literal neo-Nazis standing outside their offices and their entrances to their parks, like very often for years. And that, I think, probably has an effect on people there.
How did all this even happen with Disney? Like, isn't it like because they had like princesses be black who should, like they wanted them to be white? Like, is that the origin of all this shit?
It's one of them.
It Little Mermaid was black and they lost their shit.
It's so
Snow
fucking
White.
dumb.
Everybody's so pissed about Snow White. They're like, it said it's white as the driven snow, and they lost their fucking mind.
Imagine caring about that. Like, just imagine caring about that.
It does go very quickly from a Ron DeSantis to a libs of TikTok, higher right chick, to literal fucking neo-Nazis.
I think you're right. I'm sure there are plenty of Disney people who are outraged that they made. I don't think Bob Iger gives a shit about that. I think Bob Iger cares about green.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And even Michael Eisner, who is like the god of Disney after Disney, was like, why do they do this? Where is leadership? Like he came out pretty hard because I think that I'm sure he was representing a lot of the employees, because I don't know why you would do that if like everybody was against it and you're just like, you have all that stock. It's probably a lot at risk. But like he was the guy that I was a little surprised to see him go against Disney on this. But I agree. I mean, they're in Orlando, Florida, guys. Like, it's not exactly like the, bluest place on earth. So there's like some bad shit down there.
So let me circle back now and defend my position, because the reason why.
Oh, right. That.
Oh, yeah.
That, you guys, come on. Jesus Christ. We're not talking about fucking Snow White right now. Or Orlando. Nobody wants to talk about Orlando.
No. Fair.
So
actually, there is one listener on our show, I guarantee you now, who's from that area that is going to give me shit. I guarantee it.
It's like when you get on the stage and you're like, all right, I'm from Orlando. Who's from Orlando? And there's like one person.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going to listen to us anymore because I trashed Orlando.
That's garbage.
We can't, one business can't fix capitalism and can't fix late stage capitalism. When we say vote with your dollar, not supporting Disney for doing the right thing is like people staying home and being like, hell, like Kamala Harris loved genocide or whatever, and just being a non-voter. You have to vote because it's the system. It's how the system works. And so if we don't, if everybody just says, no, fuck you guys, you fucked up once, we're never going to give you our dollars again. Like Zach said, what do they have to lose? They are legally obligated to make shareholders money. Like it is actually a law for a publicly owned company to maximize profits for shareholders, which is a whole separate episode. But until we change that, if they just say, no, we're going to stand by our values and lose money because the Democrats won't pay for us, and now the Republicans are pissed at us because we're getting all woke, but we're going to stick with our values, so nobody's giving us money, they're going to replace the CEO, and then they're going to go probably hard right, because the right does a much better job of voting with their dollar than the left does. Yes. We stick with our principles, and we kind of don't pull the levers that we need to pull. And so I don't, like, this is a business transaction for ABC or for Disney. They don't give a shit. They want to do the thing that makes them the most money or that loses them the least money. And so use your money to make sure that the correct side is giving them the most money so that they do what we want them to do. Like it's just a transactional thing.
My problem with this one is that this was such a gross overreach by the federal government. And Disney just fucking caved.
It's not a whoopsie.
They just caved. Right? This was a clear
like a cheap goddamn suit.
Right. As Ian Rosenberg told us yesterday, the other day, the First Amendment attorney we had on, it's not Disney has the right to do whatever they want. Well, depending on what the contracts are. Right. But this was the FCC, which they now say they didn't, which is bullshit. They leaned on
because they knew they were going to lose.
Right. And well, we didn't do that. This was such a stark violation, and this was such a line that was crossed.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Easiest fucking smack it out the park for Disney. If you flip the script and they said, "Yeah, fuck you, FCC," you know what the fucking response from the left on the internet would have been? Hell yeah, somebody's sticking up.
And I actually think that there are
you
more
want to reward
people.
something, reward that.
There are more people, and we saw with the backlash, there were more people on our side on this. It was like a 70-30. Like, I mean, we even had Ted Cruz was like agreeing with us, and Tucker Carlson and Kansas.
Matt Walsh? Matt Walsh was.
Wait, was he? Did he?
No way.
No way. Really?
I don't know.
The broad attack on free speech. He said, Are you fucking kidding me? Get rid of Pam Bondi now. He was staunchly on the side of free speech.
Well, so the one good thing,
terrified that when we win in 28, that somebody will fucking come back around.
They're not dumb.
Well, if they broke the law, they absolutely should be worried about that.
Yeah,
but I guess that's my point. Is like I actually think there was, as Luke was saying, I think there was more upside of fighting this than capitulating, because the problem with the capitulation,
we're missing a piece. They're missing a critical piece of this, which is the whole reason Bob Iger did it, was the Fubo acquisition. That's the whole thing. The whole reason this happened was because Disney is in the position right now that we're trying to acquire Fubo for, like, I think the deal is like it's billions of dollars, and the only way for this to go through is for Trump to rubber stamp this. That's it. He's leveraging.
No, I didn't know that, but that makes total sense. But like again, I understand that, but this is now going to happen again because it worked. Like, at least short term.
And now
I think it was also related to this is Sinclair and I think Tegna, which are trying to merge from below.
Yes.
Also pulled the show. So
Nexstar
having
and Tegna.
something like it was Nexstar.
Nexstar and Tegna are trying to merge, and they need FCC to actually to destroy the anti-monopoly rule that allows them to go over 39% saturation, and it would push them up to, like, I want to say 80% saturation, because they're both massive. Sinclair is the other big right-wing behemoth that owns tons of stations. So it would ultimately be Nexstar and Sinclair, both of which are, I think, both Texas-owned, but they're both extremely conservative owners of mostly small market stations. And so, yeah, Tegna actually doesn't have they have not issued a statement, and Tegna didn't pull Kimmel from their station. So Tegna and Nexstar are not necessarily politically aligned, but I think out of business reasons they need to, that's why they want the merger.
Yep.
Right. But so that merger will probably result in higher prices for the consumers in those areas, which is what it always does. No, but I think it just points to it. This is where I think why like the Zorans and the Plattners are doing so well right now. Is like this, like people are making decisions that will affect all of us for the rest of our lives, meaning trampling over the First Amendment for an acquisition. And there has to be, this is where I get into
I'm just never going to reward that. I'm
never going to reward it. And there needs to be more oversight. Like, they're creating monopolies. And like, this is again, like, Donald Trump uses these culture wars to keep his, white, non-college educated base in check.
Sure.
But is again doing something to screw them, because he's really the one that's beholden to corporations and billionaires. I
understand all that. And like, I'm ideologically aligned with you guys on all this stuff. But I think the piece that we have to accept is that's not the world we live in. And we have to operate within the world that we live in. And like, ideal world, you guys are right. 100%. We should not, give money to companies we don't agree with. But the truth of the matter is, if we take that position right this second, it's not a good position for us to take. It's not going to win us anything.
4% back. They're not going to fucking. I mean, they got their ass smacked a little bit.
Right. I mean, that's okay.
The belt came to ass for a second.
Yeah, I think they'll
get their 4% back, and it'll be fine. And they learn their lesson that they shouldn't do this shit again.
Right. I think like,
but they don't need like a boost of people coming out to support them and talking about like, you did the right thing and we should all subscribe.
No. Definitely not that. But I do think because we live in unprecedented times, we have to pick our battles very wisely. And I think like this is one where it's like, if we can tell huge corporations, hey, if you go with us, there's actually benefit in the back end, then we have more traction when we actually get power. And that's sort of where I align with Rich the most, is like, I'll take the traction in the future by giving them a little bit of fucking leeway right now.
Well, let's move on to some of the other crazy stuff. And listeners, if you want to write in and tell us how Zach and Rich were wrong, please feel free to do that. So that we can.
I do agree. The economic incentive argument is solid.
Hey, all right.
Also, guys, you can tell Chris why he's wrong. So let's go on to something insane, infuriating, and that is that Donald Trump and RFK Jr. this week, Monday.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, Monday.
It's only Wednesday.
Monday. It's only Wednesday. You'll get this tomorrow. Sorry, guys, but came out and said they sort of danced around it because they can't really say what they want to say, but they blamed Tylenol for not acetaminophen because Trump can't say acetaminophen. But specifically Tylenol, which now I've learned they're saying Tylenol because he can't say acetaminophen.
Sure.
Is to blame for the rise of autism cases in the country. There is next to zero scientific evidence to back up this claim. In fact, when you look at the White House fact sheets, they are very careful about what they actually say in writing because they say it may. Or there is a chance that they use these words.
One of the studies that they used for fucking evidence doesn't have the word autism anywhere in it.
Right. They don't know what they're doing. They're using correlational studies, small correlational studies, and big studies have this is the area, this is the world I come from. I worked in pharmaceutical advertising forever, and I had to read these studies all the time. This is where Republicans have such a leg up because they understand how to take these very, very complicated things and distill them down to here's the simplest soundbite in the world, and I can just be like, hey, there was a study from Harvard that said this, and blow it up into this is the answer. And it's like, if you just take 2 minutes of critical thinking and research, you could disprove this whole thing in 2 seconds. They just don't do it. And it's painful because they're too dumb. I mean, that's just the bottom line. They're just too fucking stupid.
The frustrating part about it is you're right. Everyone kept forwarding that Harvard study. It's the Harvard study was a study of studies. And then when there were bigger studies that went to try to prove out, because that's how the scientific method works, right? You usually start small to get a theory working, and then you expand. And generally, when you expand it, those findings in those smaller ones don't always pan out. That's why you hear these things scientists have cured Alzheimer's in mice. It's in this little teeny, far less complex brain, that's a good start, right? But you don't.
Are those the transgender mice?
Transgender mice, yes. Those are the special transgender mice.
Throwback.
Yep.
I cannot believe that was 9 months ago. I feels like fucking
it's crazy.
10 years ago.
But anyways, here's the thing about this. First of all, anybody that knows anything, every doctor came out, every science researcher, all these people were putting out videos and statements that were no. But the thing that infuriates me the most about this, and I did a video on TikTok, but TikTok suppresses any videos that talk about autism or vaccines.
They sure do.
What a platform! What they have signaled to millions of women in this country is that their child is neurodivergent because it's their fault.
Yep.
And that's wrong for many, many reasons. First of all, there's nothing wrong with neurodivergence. It is a different way of thinking, and almost every scientist agrees that happens in the early stages in utero, and it's mostly genetic. There are likely environmental factors. So there's that. But all of these women, and I saw people talking about it, even though they know it was a lie, this thing was not true.
It still hurts.
Yeah, of course.
It hurts. Of course, for you to be basically blamed, which is what RFK is doing, that fucking asshole. He's actually the one I hate the most.
Piece of shit.
The worst, because he is a narcissist and he has lied in every job, and he's also not he's an environmental lawyer.
Yeah,
he's not a medical expert.
Most of his expertise is how to heat up
heat up
a fucking spoon.
I wish he actually has more experience doing that than anything medical, which is true.
100% he does.
But I want to be senator for one day, and I want it to be when he testifies, because I want to ask him this. 10 years ago, you testified in a spousal support case that you could not pay your ex-wife, not child support, but alimony, because a worm ate your brain, and you had so much brain damage that you could not support paying her and yourself. And then he becomes the Health and Human Services Secretary, which means he's in the presidential line of succession. So what I want to know is, were you lying then, or were you lying now? And the answer is yes, right? It's yes. But it's yes. It's always yes with that guy because he's a narcissist. Yeah. If you look up narcissist, his face is in the dictionary, I swear. Yeah. He is not well. And I mean, who works out in jeans, guys? I mean, come on.
I mean, I saw he had a nicotine pouch in when they were doing that fucking speech.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Maha guy is fucking ripping those
ripping Zins.
Ripping
Zins.
But it's the emotional damage that it does to people who are already in a challenging situation. And the thing is, they don't care. They just don't care.
It's not just retrospective of the damage that it's doing to women who have had children who may be neurodivergent. It's all of the women now who may be denied access to care, Tylenol and other products, who will have to live with pain. And there are studies,
they
again,
told to tough it out.
I'm not making any conclusions here, right? But fevers can really affect a fetus.
Yes, 100%.
In many dangerous ways. Yep. You control a fever for a mother with Tylenol. There's a lot of science saying that the cost-benefit ratio for this is better for the fetus. You 100%. Take Tylenol, reduce the fever, reduce the body heat, reduce possible, potentially deadly impacts on the fetus. And what the pro-life party is talking about right now is torturing women and killing children. That is what this Maha bullshit is with Tylenol.
Fucking stood for.
Well, and I mean, this one is so frustrating for me. But this is the thing I've seen in the last few days. All men, by the way, all men saying, well, what's the big deal? Don't take Tylenol. And it's like you are what you first of all, shut the fuck up about pregnancy. Just shut the fuck up. Second of all, go ask your wife who had 2 kids. Go say that to her and see what she says.
That'll go over
because
great.
You know this whole the woman should have to suffer to have the baby. And then when the baby comes, she has to do all the childcare and all the cooking. This is what these people think, right? It's like, shut the fuck up. And it was the dudes. Oh, well, what, they have to have a fever a couple times. I'm like, well, then you have a fever. Then you don't take anything if it's not such a big deal.
Yeah, why don't you have the fever and
we all know what a man cold is, right? Men generally are softer about illness than women already.
Shit when I get sick.
I fall apart. But it's this decision is so anti-woman. It's just infuriating. And that side has they're just like, oh, I don't see what the big deal is. What's the big deal? I'm like, well, you don't know. Just go Google it and find out. Just take the 2 minutes instead of being spoon-fed from the brain-eat worm and the guy who eats McDonald's 65 times a day, who said you should inject bleach. You want to believe them over literally all doctors and all scientists, minus a couple crazy ones.
And the stupidest part of it is they're only doing this because they promised they were going to get to the bottom of autism, and then they looked at it and went, oh, there's no way we're going to be able to do this, and they just counted a lie.
Generally speaking, scientific studies don't have a fucking release date of the solution. Generally speaking, that's not how they work. Also, the 6 or 7 presidents before just chose not to figure it out, and then they figured it out in 6 months. So we got a stable gene. I bet Donald Trump was in the lab with the microscope. He's got a white lab coat. I'm sure he was in there.
Can you imagine showing that guy DNA? What he would do? He would just be like, "Oh, is that just the stains from my lunch? Is that just what I?" The other part was I thought it was vaccines, guys.
Right.
No,
so is that off now?
See, that's the interesting thing about that whole fucking press briefing, is that he tiptoed around saying that. He was like, and the Amish folks, they don't have vaccines and they don't have autism. Sure, Donald, they just have that kid who really likes to count the marbles. They definitely don't have anything there. Jesus Christ. But he was like, well, I can't say, but it was such a fucking blatant dog whistle.
So it is vaccines
and Tylenol.
Right. Yep. The deadly
and whatever
combo.
else they decide.
Also, what a fucking idiot to call Tylenol. I mean, isn't Bayer going to just file a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit because they're definitely going to lose? They're definitely going to lose sales, right? Their sales are going to get screwed because people who don't believe it are like, some people will just be like, well, I'm just not going to do it, right? Yep. Even though there is no reason to not. No. So they're going to I could try this case and probably win because there is nothing. What do you like? They said this. The next day, this happened, and
the end.
There was nothing else. They're going to sue for billions, and then guess who gets to pay for that?
I think what's also worth mentioning is that the whole RFK like war on autism thing is like also just really awful and cruel. Like his whole reason for doing this is
because he
believes that people who have autism are incapable of anything.
Right.
He said like a giant drain on the family.
Can't pay taxes.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like you said that standing right next to Elon Musk, who's the richest person on a planet and has talked about being autistic.
Yes.
Like neurodivergence doesn't mean that you're a drain on society.
No.
But also, how is that the measure of a life? First of all, this pro-life party, right? So this pro-life party, now it's all about paying taxes, which at least they're saying the quiet part out loud. True. But like this notion that in order for life to be valuable, that it has to pay taxes, or it has to, like the most important thing in life
like
is
Trump
work.
gauging people's worth based on their monetary success.
Right. I saw some really amazing videos of doctors. There's one guy, I can't remember his name, but like he has an autistic child too, but he was like, first of all, the aspirin thing is or Tylenol thing is bullshit. Like there's not any conclusive evidence. It's not even close to it. Right. But he's also like, we've got to get away from this notion that to be a valuable person, you must contribute to capitalism.
Right.
And I know that's how our system works, but that doesn't mean a person that can't do that isn't valuable, doesn't bring joy to people, doesn't like enjoy their life. And like, why as a society, the richest country on earth, we can have all of these things. Like, I don't understand why we have to other people, because that is, Chris, you're right. That's the other damaging thing about this, is that they are calling this something that you can catch.
Right.
Rather than just being a part of who you are. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'll be honest, like, and this is, I think people will appreciate this joke, but like, every fucking engineering and development team on Earth, there's a lot of people in there that are neurodivergent. Like there are. Bill Gates has talked about his neurodivergence.
People I know are neurodivergent.
Right.
Absolutely.
And like what a better program would be, well, let's spend money figuring out how to like make everybody live their best life.
Right.
Like maybe that is contributing, maybe that is working a job and we have workforce trainings for that. Or maybe there's other ways, like there's just like, like Nordic countries, right, are always the happiest countries on earth. They're also socialist. But because they ensure healthcare, pensions, like we take care of people. Like that is the way to have a healthy, successful society, not for this fucking idiot that literally says he had a brainworm, which he didn't, but like he's used that, like, because there is no such thing of that unless he was like swimming in some river in the fucking.
He has swum in rivers like that.
That's true. That's true. He did go in Rock Creek Park, which is gross. Gross.
With his kids or whatever.
But it's just like, and this is part of that masculinity thing too, because we are all told the only way that you are a successful male in this country is that you make a lot of money, you have a bunch of babies, and then you die of like alcoholism or something at 65.
Because
people are like, bravo, life well lived. And you're like, what?
That's the other part. Is like they don't like it because like it's not normal. Like the other element of that type of archetype, right? Like is they want like a normal person. That's what it means to be normal. You go up, you do
but what
job,
is normal?
Right, exactly. I mean, like you have to look at, like I look at people who are neurodivergent as the opposite. Like they have fucking superpowers, dude. Like some of them can do shit like nobody can do. I am too. It's amazing to see what some of them can do. Like, look at this. It's incredible. Why are we not bottling this up and selling it? It's a fucking value system.
If you find the right jobs and the right neurotypes, like it is absolutely true. Yeah. It's not that way for everybody, but it is. But you're 100% right. And like, why? Like, and honestly, like everyone's like, well, the rise of autism in the 90s. I'm like, no. The rise of testing, diagnosing,
awareness,
not this fucking, there was like mercury in the vaccines in the late 80s. I'm like, go fucking Google this. My God, it is this like, and it's also Jenny fucking McCarthy.
I don't ever get to the Google part. I just go fuck yourself.
First of all, the first uses of the term autism, I believe, was in the 1910s. Tylenol was developed
50s.
In the 1950s.
Right.
So
that adds up.
What, like, also I have seen some very funny memes that mostly neurodivergent people post, so I feel like it's okay to say it, but like, they're like, this boomer says like, oh, we didn't have autism. And then it's like, here's dad with his train collection, like just like over all the little pieces. And it's like, autism is genetic. We have always had it. Like, it's great that it's coming out, but like, othering it like it should be celebrated. It should not be like cast to the side. And I think that's the problem. So
there are so many people with great TikToks walking into their parents' houses, like these MAGA parents, and being like, here's my mom who's arguing with me about autism not being real. And here's her spoon set.
Yep.
Walk into another room and here are her special spoons that you can't touch.
Don't touch them. Do not touch them. No, it's just like, let's just all understand each other a little bit better, right? Like, it's not that hard.
The challenge
is not going to happen.
No.
And my prediction is that inside a year and a half, the pro-lifers are going to link birth control use to autism.
That's interesting. That's actually.
I'm glad you said it now because now I'm like,
you could call me in 18 months. You tell me if it came true.
Yep.
Yeah, I could see that 100%. Because what I was going to say, it fits in perfectly to this, is that the epicenter of all of this is creating a distrust of experts. That's really what this all is. And that's
100%.
But like that, the analogy I always go back to with that is I'm like, what if you were doing the exact same thing with planes? Would you fly in a plane if the people running the building the planes were your experts in quotations? Or would you feel supremely fucking uncomfortable with the type of people that you're going to listen to in medicine and applying that to going into a fucking steel tube in the sky? I think you'd change your mind a bit and go, maybe I'll trust the real experts this time so I don't careen into the ocean.
They always end up doing that, though.
Well,
that's the fucking thing that I hate the most about these fuckers.
There was somebody who passed away recently who did actually weaponize airplanes, right? Because Mr. Charlie Kirk has that quote that says, if I have a black pilot,
yes,
I'm gonna think to myself, I hope he's qualified. So it's interesting, Zach, because it's insane, is exactly as you said. But they do they even find ways to weave their racism into something that is actually is insane. And
I never understand that argument. It's like, do they think that like DEI programs have been like, hey, anybody can come in and do these highly specialized stuff?
That's exactly what they think. That's what they think.
How is that possible?
Well, I don't even know that
because they don't do any research, right?
The smart ones don't think that. The smart ones just know that the dumb motherfuckers will think that if they
weaponize it. Yeah.
Like, once again, and I full disclosure, I did have a client at the Office of DEI at Michigan, so like I got insight into a lot of this stuff. They're not anymore, but basically because their president was a coward and got rid of DEI, and because he wanted the job at University of Florida, and then they deemed him not MAGA enough, and so he got no job. So not sad about that. I can say that now that I'm not under contract.
But win stupid prizes.
All DEI is making sure that everybody has the same opportunity.
Yep.
That's literally it. That's literally it. And also, businesses that employ DEI practices have better revenues because guess what?
Yes.
Fuckwads. Like, diversity of thought is very valuable and diversity of experience is very valuable. And you've got it's like, imagine the four of us like trying to solve, I don't know what it would be because anything I could think of is hilarious. Like if we were trying to figure out a vaccine or something.
I could solve autism before Trump's people could. I think we've already got it figured out. There is no solving.
There we go. But like having some doctors in the midst, or like people who've come from the community. Anyways, it's just ridiculous. It's all just so stupid.
It is, and it's permeated so far. Like I did that debate thing with like high school kids 6 months ago for that. My old podcast co-host who's very Republican, and I literally had young black kids arguing with me that DEI was bad for them. And I'm like, I am so sorry that this happened to you. Like, it's fucking insane. Like, they literally felt offended at DEI. And I was like, okay, this is a minefield I'm going to walk away from, but you have been lied to aggressively. It's insane.
Yeah. Also, you don't have to be in a program if you don't want to, but like
nobody's forcing this shit on you.
So for our last topic, President Trump this week designated the four of us as terrorists, guys.
Oh yeah,
we're
domestic terrorists.
Domestic terrorists.
Also, important note for the people who say they love veterans so much. Also designated like a lot of our grandparents domestic terrorism.
True.
You mean all that served in World War II?
Everybody that served in World War II who literally fought fascists.
So for anyone who missed it, because there was a lot of crazy shit this week, Donald Trump has designated Antifa, which is short for anti-fascist, as a terrorist organization, even though there is no organizational structure.
Nope.
There is there has never been a single person, I don't think.
Actually, I'm the president of Antifa.
Well,
breaking news, folks.
To
I'm
be
pretty
real,
sure Chris is the accountant.
I run an organization that is called Veterans Fighting Fascism. So, I'm on the list, guys, for real. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Hey, you're in there.
I wish I had my sound up. I could do that right now.
No.
Don't do it. Yeah. So, this could potentially have real repercussions. What the order was 3 paragraphs. It was very soft language, like their Tylenol, written declarations. Yeah. But it did basically tell law enforcement, federal law enforcement at least, and the agencies, the various agencies like the IRS, to look for Antifa. And if you're a cop, if you're the average cop, you fear Antifa. I've spoken at the Global Intelligence Forum for the NYPD. And I was there talking to them about unlawful militias and how they're not actually aligned with cops and they actually kill a lot of cops. And that's a historical fact. And every response was, but what about Antifa? But what about Antifa? Ugh. So though the order itself is not really, doesn't have any legal weight, the messaging is enough that it is going to change the mindset of too many cops, not just federal cops who the order is for, but all cops around the country, who are going to start being like, that's a fucking terrorist. I'm going to treat this American, this person who has constitutional rights, I'm going to treat them like a terrorist. And that is going to have real nasty effects for people.
It's fucking crazy because in some parts of the country, it was already bad. I'm from a super, super small town. And in 2020, when the BLM riots were going on and there was some protests in a city, a slightly bigger city that was about 30 minutes away. My small town had people waiting at the McDonald's with AR-15s because they had heard through Facebook that there were busloads of Antifa coming to ruin the town. People literally boarded up the fucking business windows in the downtown of my fucking little city. Literally 2,000 people live in that town.
Wow.
Nobody ever showed up.
That bus is full of Antifa thing. Yeah, it spread like wildfire.
There were people waiting in the McDonald's fucking drive-through or parking lot in the back of a pickup truck with AR-15s. The school parking lot was full of cops that were waiting, also with firearms. The whole town was just fucking on edge. It was ridiculous.
Why did they decide to defend McDonald's of all places?
Well, McDonald's was on town was on.
I don't want to give anything away, but
a very major highway. And
it's a high point.
It was high point, and the direction was towards the city that the Antifa was supposedly coming from. They were going to get them on the way in,
Does the McDonald's also double as City Hall?
No.
Oh, okay, just curious.
So this is an important point.
It did double as fucking snacks for them, though.
This sounds very goofy, but what Luke is saying is a very important point because this is what the Fox News audience believes. Yeah. And that is a third of the country, if not more. They hear and they see news stories. It's not just Facebook posts. They see news stories about intelligence was leaked from a police officer. Some intelligence analyst said there's buses full of Antifa. And the funniest thing for me personally is the reason why there's a famous bunch of images in Coeur d'Alene, a bunch of these Patriot Front U-Haul Nazis getting their hands tied behind their back and stripped of their masks and everything. It's because of the buses full of Antifa idea that somebody saw a bunch of people loading up into a U-Haul in a conservative area, and they called the cops. And that is the one time the cops have intercepted the U-Haul when it was full of these guys as it was driving.
So they thought it was Nazi, or they thought it was Antifa, and it was actually Nazis.
Yeah. So they got a bunch of Nazis arrested instead.
We live in.
Oh my God. Coeur d'Alene, that's in Idaho, right? Is that and it's a known white supremacist area, which is why Antifa would go there. That seems like a bad idea.
It's a blue city in a sea of red.
Yeah. Oh, it is a blue city.
Or at least there are blue parts of it. I don't know about the whole thing. The reason why the Nazis were going there is because there was a pride event, like a Pride in the Park event or something. So Yeah. So
Their
my
worst nightmare.
organization was
Oh
able
my
to
God.
take advantage of that. We got
How dare those people? How dare those people be who they are?
How dare they?
That's ridiculous. Well, congratulations, everybody, for being labeled terrorists this week. I kind of thought that most Americans were anti-fascist, though we are learning that number is a lot smaller than we thought.
So you guys
run
know
Antifa,
that,
right?
Absolutely. I'm the president and CEO.
No,
Yeah.
that's me, you fuck.
It's
I'm
make
the only actual
believe.
CEO of an anti-fascist organization.
This is all make believe. We all get to be president and CEO. My child was a ninja
Is this
morning.
an I'm Spartacus
I am
moment? Is that what it
Spartacus.
is? I am
No,
Spartacus?
but I am the CEO.
Yes.
I think
Chris does win this
Chris
one.
is real Spartacus.
the thing that's so funny to me that everyone just like glanced over. I think New York Times, somebody mentioned it. And it was like, why are we not talking about this? He did this exact thing in 2020. Like he literally said, Antifa, I'm designating Antifa a major terrorist organization in 2020. And everyone was like, what are you talking about? And then just like 5 years went by. And now he's
this
like,
time
it's
it was an executive order. So it's
basically
different
law.
from just the tweet.
so he sent a press
of 4 years
release,
ago.
and
they
a
just
tweet.
Take the Truth Social post and stick it on the White House letterhead,
On the letterhead,
and then just
yeah.
sign
If
it.
you read it, it is Trump's language. It is pretty. I mean, it's not all caps lock, but it's
Do you know
close.
what I want the next president to do? Is I want them to take all of the actual physical pieces of paper that are executive orders. I want them to go out onto that horrible new paved area where they got rid of the Rose Garden, and I just want them to light every
Burn the
single one of them on
motherfuckers.
fire. Just light them on. Like we talk about, like Trump is the king of performative bullshit. I want performative action from whoever the Democrat is, and just light that shit on fire and like double finger it, and then walk back into the West Wing because.
I have no interest in a Democratic candidate in 28 who says they're just gonna like not be angry about what happened.
I don't think that
like,
person.
don't
I don't
worry,
think
it's
that exists. No, they
Don't
they have
worry,
no
it's
chance.
business as usual again.
Yeah, fuck that. We'll all be at brunch again. Fuck off.
You know, like just status quo, guys. Let's get fired up to bring back the status quo.
Everything was really great there, during COVID and inflation. Let's just go back to that.
Jan 6,
Not change anything. I think what's like, there's so much to unpack with the Antifa stuff, but the domestic terrorist organization thing, like George W. Bush would have loved to declare some domestic terrorist organizations during the war on terror. The fucking KKK is not a domestic terrorist organization and never was. They were lynching black people.
We never designated
and
it.
they were never designated as anything other than a hate
they
group.
had like designated leaders and chapters and
they,
shit.
they had presidents and grand wizards, fucking nerds.
You know whose dad went to one of those rallies once?
I know whose dad went to one of those rallies.
Luke.
Donald Trump.
That's right. Fred Trump went to a KKK rally once, and not to.
It was just a
disrupt it.
coincidence. He was there for the cookies and punch.
Yeah, he was looking for a ghost. He was looking for
bunny
he was looking for a ghost costume for Halloween, right? That's what he was doing.
Is this
Can't see shit out of this thing.
Oh my God! I just got to cut these holes out.
Is this the spirit of Halloween?
Yeah, yeah. Why is it pointing? Anyways,
So
no, he was there. Yeah, you can figure out why he was there.
Even the Communist Party during the Red Scare was not labeled a domestic terrorist organization because it's not a thing. It doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It will never exist unless Congress passes a law that says you can designate a domestic terrorist organization. And if they were to try to do that, it would, and this is why it hasn't happened, it would flagrantly violate the First Amendment because assembly, petition, and speech and religion are all covered and they all commingle, which is why like it's all or nothing. You either have a free society or you have Nazi Germany, and there's really not a lot in between. And for, I think most Americans agree that free society is still arguably better than the alternative.
I mean, I feel like we've got enough police forces to handle this, that they don't need a piece of paper saying, go get these guys, between the FBI and police and sheriffs and range marshals and, ATF and all of these fucking groups. Like, if someone is doing something bad, just
Just punish the criminal.
You don't need Donald Trump. Oh, we're supposed to get these terrorists now. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, it's just
silly. Donald Trump defunded the police, so they don't have the money anymore.
We should. I mean, we're all joking about this, but we should hope that the executive order fulfills what Trump wants to do, because this actually could get way fucking worse.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio has shown that he is willing to engage in, just straight up corruption to enrich the Trumps, right? Marco Rubio has sold his soul. The Secretary of State, the State Department, they do have powers that could designate anti-fascist organizations, of which there are like loosely organized people as an international terrorist organization. And that would give President Trump the powers of war, effectively.
Right.
And that would give the FBI an international nexus for Americans, right? So an example would be members of my team just went to Portugal to be at a cyber conference, to learn new skills, to network with people internationally, because there's a global rise of fascism, right? This is a very professional, nerdy conference, but that type of activity could be enough for the State Department to say, I don't want members of this team coming back into the United States. We're going to take away their passports. We're going to brand them as affiliated or providing material support to a terrorist organization. So as funny as this like executive order may feel, we're 9 months into the presidency. We're 8 months into the presidency plus 4 days as we're recording this. Like, there's a lot of room for acceleration in a way that really could affect Americans in pretty horrible ways.
You still have to commit a crime to be a criminal, and Congress passes laws that make things crimes. And so I think even if it definitely, if you're talking about anything overseas, obviously that's a whole different thing. There is a law that allows the president to designate a foreign terrorist organization. And first of all, don't support foreign terrorist organizations like everybody. That's probably
seems important. Yeah,
that's probably level one. Fascism is an ideology. Anti-fascism is an ideology. I've never said like I am an anti-fascist. Like that's just I don't really care about the label. What I care about is I'm an American, and Americans believe in American values, which are not in line with fascist ideology.
For me is that like by saying that Antifa is their enemy, they're admitting what they are. That's what I feel is most.
What's anti-fascist?
Yeah, what's anti-fascist? What's that rhyme with? I'll tell you. Fucking fascist.
Well, guys, I think we have. I think we've covered this one. I was trying to find a good pivot to the rap, but Chris was talking about the rise of fascism, and I was talking about there's been a rise in find out merchandise in the online store.
Pretty good
lately. We've got a 5. This is the most popular. Oh, we got 3 going right now. So and we're all different. Nice. So we have the Faces shirt, which is the most popular. Luke, I believe, is modeling the least popular.
Does it count if I?
No, I thought Rich
was. Is this 4?
Oh.
Is this 4 if I have 2 and my
you got a shirt. Oh.
Damn.
If for those who are listening instead of watching, Rich has his mug, his hoodie, and his black Find Out Newton shirt.
I like this one.
So I didn't tell the guys this. I didn't tell the guys this, but I just put in the request to have the 5 faces and the tree put on the hoodies.
Nice.
I think by next week, I'm pretty certain that a few days after people hear this episode, it's getting a little chilly. It's fall. And we're adding to the store. We're putting our most popular designs on black pullover hoodies, which are super, super comfortable.
So
made
comfortable.
in America, printed by well-paid union artisans. And I'm pretty excited about that.
I wish it was getting chilly here. It's hot as fuck.
I know today in New York, today it's like a sweaty disaster, which is, I actually 95. Ran over here and I'm glad you can't see most of the shirts. Probably don't look great. But you can buy these shirts and more at findoutpodcast.com. The other thing that you can do, since we are seeing that mainstream media is not going to save us, is that you can support the Find Out podcast with a subscription on Substack, which is at findoutpodcast.substack.com. Help us keep the lights on and continuing to get bigger and bigger. I think that's it, guys. I think we covered it. This is a long one today. We're at an hour 10. Managed to make it through without my glasses, which I left at home, even though I can't really see anything that's going on.
I think you look great without them.
Oh, thank you. Well, this is the normal. Like, this is how I normally look because I don't wear them out. But,
I think you have a face for podcasting.
Damn.
It's a very nice compliment.
Oh, I just tried to make it.
Yeah, but podcasts are audio.
What's that?
But podcasts are audio.
That is, well, but half of our audience watches.
That's true.
Because you know what? This isn't an ugly crew. This is a good crew, you know.
I'm pretty bad
looking.
looking.
If you only listen to audio and you want to know what Tim looks like, there's the 5 Faces hoodie coming next week.
Spitting image. It looks. That is how he looks.
Always
exactly.
looks.
You know what?
Mischievous.
I was trying to. God, I'm trying to make my jokes.
No.
Oh yeah.
Lose the buttons, Tim.
Damn it.
God damn it.
Got it.
All right,
Cut
everybody.
that part out.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Buy that merch. Subscribe. Take a walk outside. Don't think about politics all the time. We will see you next week.
That's a good idea.
All right. Bye, everybody.
We should try that sometime.
God fucking damn it.
You did it. You got him.
Yes.
We did it. Snuck it in there.